It is too hot, y'all. I mean, I'm talking about 110, 115 plus degrees. And to be honest, summer hasn't even really started. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how hot it really is in Oman, but why it's still worth it. Now, before I go further, I am a sociologist, and part of my desire to understand who we are and why we do what we do has led me to travel and settle all around the world. And this video is where I share unique perspectives about life, love, health, sex, religion, philosophy, and a whole lot more from around the world. So the number one thing you should do right now is subscribe so you can get more of the same as soon as it comes out. Now, back to the heat. Well, first of all, the place that I'm talking about is the Sultanate of Oman. If you don't know about this country, why don't you check out the video that you can see in your top right hand corner right now, and you'll get all the information that you need about that. As for the heat, yes, I do think that it can get to 120 degrees here. I remember one time I was in Oman until about the 1st of July, and then my wife and my daughter and I all went directly to Thailand. Now in Thailand, it was a rainy evening, so let's say that it dropped to about, I don't know, 80 degrees. Now that was like a 40-degree shock for me, meaning not only was it much cooler, but there was a cool breeze blowing, so I threw on a light jacket. And at the time, I was doing a short course, and my colleagues were looking at me like I was crazy. And I was like, y'all don't know where I just came from. Like, y'all have no idea where I was yesterday. So it really is that hot that if any of you have been to summer in Thailand, it's so much hotter here that you throw on a jacket. You know what I mean? Um, the heat of this magnitude can actually cause something called heat exhaustion. And I don't really know what that sounds like to you, so I'll just describe it because I actually got diagnosed with it last year. Heat exhaustion is a feeling of fatigue where you're so tired you can actually feel like, they say like your body feels drained. You can actually feel the draining itself as it's happening. Like you can feel like your, you know, weakness is kind of pumping through your veins. You can feel that feeling of tiredness pumping through your veins. I don't know if that makes sense. Um, yes, it comes with dehydration, or you might say it's caused by dehydration, but it's not just the feeling of thirst. Although you will feel thirsty, you might feel like a cool drink of water is the most delicious thing you've ever tasted in your life, you know, and you you just feel totally lethargic. I mean, you feel like you're walking through a hot tub. I mean, imagine how tired you would feel and how difficult it would be to move if you were like in a tub of hot water instead of just sitting in your room, you know? And it was so bad last year that I actually couldn't even fast, you know? So my doctor said, you definitely cannot fast. You need to be drinking not just water, but other liquids. So why is it still worth it to live in Oman if it does get this hot? Well, first of all, heat exhaustion, which I just described, and even dehydration are not a constant. It could be that you are already, let's say, sick or compromised, or that you don't take care to hydrate yourself. And those are the kinds of things that can lead to those conditions. But those are rare for me, and I think for everyone. It's not as though you're going around and most people are being affected by the heat. Um, It's worth it to live in Oman, first of all, because you can very easily combat the heat. How so? Um, Air conditioning is omnipresent. I mean, it's everywhere. So the reality of the situation is that even in the heat of the day, you're in your house with the AC blasting. You can even add fans to that to intensify the effect. You go straight to your car, and from your car, you go to your destination. Now, you may get a bit of a shock, from your front door to your car door, and for that first, 30 seconds when your AC is getting going. But when you walk into a supermarket or office building or mall, the entire building is air conditioned. So I'll contrast that to Pakistan, for example, where it's only the particular room in which you are, visiting or doing business that's air conditioned, and the hallways and elevator, etc., are not. No, in Oman, I mean, sometimes it's too cold. You know what I mean? I mean, sometimes it's like, look, I'm dressed for the weather, and now I'm in here where it's like, 60, 50 degrees. It's like you don't need to be cold, you need to be cool, there needs to be like an even level. So if they can overdo it, that's reassuring because they can do it enough, right? Um, Using all that electricity isn't going to cause strain on you because, I mean, let's say I'm basically obviously running air conditioning in my house 24/7, and my electricity bill is, I think it's definitely under $50. So if you compare that to what people are talking about in the US when it's in the hundreds, right? There's really no comparison. Um, Now, the second thing is that if you get sick, okay, what if you say, look, I don't know, what if I go there and I get a heat stroke, or I get dehydrated, or I get heat exhaustion, sunburn, etc. Oman has one of the top 10 healthcare systems in the world, and it is totally free. So, if you were here as a tourist and you are uninsured or you have your travel insurance, if you go to any government facility, you'll get top 10 healthcare in the world there's nowhere to receive money. I mean, there's no cash register. It's free. It's all free. Um, your prescriptions, etc. Now, you can get very inexpensive healthcare in private facilities. I wouldn't know how to make a comparison exactly, but if you go for a normal doctor visit and you get one or two tests and you take out one or two prescriptions, I would say you'll get all of that done for definitely under $100 and probably under 50. I mean, some things are more expensive than others. So let's say you go into an emergency room because you have some symptoms of something, and you stay overnight, you get a couple of treatments, and you leave with a prescription. All of that is still going to be less than $200. You've got doctors from all over the world, modern facilities, air-conditioned facilities. So that's another thing that makes Oman worth it, regardless of whether you're dealing with heat or just saying, why would you want to live there in general? Now, it's fun to beat the heat. You're going to enjoy your life here. I'm enjoying my life here when it's hot and when it's cool. So first of all, it's not always hot. Where I live, you face winter conditions. You can go up in the mountains and you will see snow, actually. And during let's say after mid-October until about April, it's pretty cool. It's sometimes warm at the extremities of that time range. So it's not always hot anyways. Now, why is it fun to beat the heat? You have got amazing places to visit. First of all, there's a lot of coastline. I would say hundreds and hundreds of miles of coastline. This is a coastal country. It's basically a kind of a strip on the edge of the Arabian Peninsula. So it's beaches galore. they're all clean. The water's clear everywhere. Even in Muscat, the largest city of Oman, the beaches of Muscat are clean and the water's clear. You go further out, it's crystal clear and you feel like you're the only person in the world. You know what I mean? You can camp out there, you can fish out there, do whatever you want, right? There's the Jebel Akhdar, which is Green Mountain. That's a mountain range in the north of the country. And there's an entire region in the south called Dhofar. The main city is Salalah, and it experiences the Kharif, which is basically the monsoon season that you may have heard about in other parts of the world. And it gets rainy, it gets cool, it gets cloudy. It's very green, lots of waterfalls. I mean, you wouldn't even guess that you're in Arabia. You would think you're maybe in the, in the tropical islands of the Pacific if you were there. So you have access to those places just by car the whole time you're in the country. So whenever you're going to have leave, or if it's a weekend, if you're a teacher like me and you've got summer vacation, you have all the time in the world to go there. They have Airbnb, they have 5-star hotels, they have 3-star hotels, they have plenty of camping areas. So it's any way you want to do it, any price range you want. If you want someone to take you from your door by 4x4 all the way there and to see all of these places, that can be arranged. So yeah, I mean, living in a country that's one of the top 5 in the world for safety, top 5 in the world for safety, top 10 in the world for healthcare, with all kinds of beautiful nature and a very friendly environment, makes it worth it, even if sometimes, yes, you're gonna break a sweat. That's all for now. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Oman. And if you're thinking about coming or you have questions about this country or other places that I've been, of course, there's always the comment section. If you're just eager for more of any type of information and anecdotes, go ahead and subscribe now. Don't miss it. That's all for now. Bye.